Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me closely. There comes a moment in life when your words no longer need to fight for you. A moment when you stop explaining, stop defending, stop convincing, and you let your silence do the talking. Because sometimes silence hits harder than any sentence you could ever speak. You see, there is a power inside you that grows the moment you stop begging for understanding. When you pull back, when you step aside, when you refuse to argue, that's when people start to notice what they took for granted. That's when they feel the absence of your energy, your kindness, your loyalty, your presence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. It's the decision to value your peace more than someone's approval. It's the choice to protect your heart instead of proving your worth. It's the confidence to say, I know who I am, and I don't need noise to prove it. Silence is often misunderstood as surrender, but in reality, it is one of the strongest forms of self-control you can ever master. When you choose silence in moments where others expect you to react, you demonstrate a level of inner discipline that cannot be faked. Anyone can raise their voice, anyone can argue, anyone can respond out of anger or frustration, but it takes true power to hold yourself still, to breathe, and to let the moment pass without letting it shake your spirit. Silence isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about refusing to let negativity pull you out of character. It's about recognizing that not every situation deserves your energy, not every comment deserves your explanation, and not every person deserves access to your emotions. When you stay silent, you take control of the space around you, you gain clarity, you allow yourself to see people for who they really are without the fog of emotional reaction. You learn who respects your quiet strength and who was relying on your emotional responses to feel superior. Silence lets you choose your battles with intention instead of impulse. It teaches you patience, sharpens your intuition, and protects your peace in situations where words would only make things worse. Most importantly, silence builds confidence. When you stop reacting to every opinion and criticism, you begin trusting your own voice on a deeper level. You stop chasing validation and start valuing your own inner balance. The world notices when you become unbothered. The people who expected you to break under pressure begin to realize that you operate from a deeper place of self-assurance. Silence becomes your armor, your strategy, and your quiet declaration that you refuse to be moved by noise, doubt, or unnecessary conflict. When you finally pull back your energy, something powerful happens. People start to see what they overlooked. As long as you're always available, always explaining, always trying, many won't realize the effort you were putting in. They won't recognize the emotional support you offered, the encouragement you gave, or the peace you brought into their lives. But the moment you step away, the moment you stop pouring into a connection that wasn't being reciprocated, your absence creates a silence they can't ignore. It forces them to confront the truth they avoided, that your presence was never ordinary. Pulling back is not about playing games or trying to manipulate someone. It's about respecting yourself enough to stop giving more than you receive. When you step back, you allow space for reflection, for clarity, and for the other person to genuinely acknowledge what you contributed. You give them the chance to see how much lighter, happier, and more stable their life felt because you were part of it. Sometimes people get comfortable with you always being there. They assume your effort is endless, your kindness is guaranteed, your patience is permanent. But when you pull back, that illusion shatters and reality sets in. Your distance has a message of its own. It says, I know my value, and I refuse to be taken for granted. It allows others to finally recognize the small acts of love, the consistency, the loyalty, and the emotional effort they overlooked. Your absence becomes a mirror reflecting everything they failed to appreciate, and in that awareness, they begin to understand the true weight of your presence. Pulling back teaches you who genuinely cares and who was simply benefiting from your effort without ever valuing it. It reveals the truth without you ever having to speak a word. Your worth was never meant to be measured by how well you explain yourself to others. You don't need to break yourself into pieces just so someone else can understand you. When you stop defending who you are, something shifts inside you. You begin to realize that your value exists regardless of who sees it, acknowledges it, or believes in it. You exist with purpose, with depth, with uniqueness, and none of that requires permission or approval. The moment you stop trying to justify your heart, your decisions, your dreams, or your boundaries, you step into a different kind of strength. You begin to understand that the people meant for you won't need explanations, and the people not meant for you won't understand no matter how many times you try. Your actions, your consistency, your character, they speak on your behalf louder than any argument could. People eventually see who you truly are through your behavior, your growth, and the way you show up in the world. And when you stop speaking just to be heard, you create space for your life to tell its own story. You let your progress, your energy, and your results reveal everything about you. That is where real confidence is built, not in shouting your worth, but in quietly knowing it. When you let go of the need to prove something, you also free yourself from the emotional weight that comes with seeking validation. You stop waiting for others to approve your choices and start trusting your own path. Your silence becomes a boundary, a declaration that your worth is not negotiable. The people who respect you will see it clearly. The ones who never valued you will be confused by your calm. And that's okay, because your life is no longer about convincing anyone. It's about living in alignment with who you truly are. Protecting your peace is one of the greatest acts of self-respect you can ever practice. Not everyone deserves the privilege of your time, your emotions, or your energy. When you start valuing your inner calm more than the chaos around you, you begin to understand that peace is not something you stumble upon. It is something you guard intentionally. You learn to recognize the people who drain you, the situations that disturb your spirit, and the patterns that pull you away from who you are meant to become. Protecting your peace means making choices that honor your emotional well-being, even when those choices feel difficult or uncomfortable. It is choosing to walk away from arguments that go nowhere, people who manipulate or belittle you, and environments that constantly weigh on your mental state. It is allowing yourself to let go of relationships that no longer support your growth. It is saying no. Without feeling guilty, stepping back without apologizing, and creating space for your mind and heart to breathe again. Your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. It allows you to think clearly, make better decisions, and show up in the world with strength instead of exhaustion. When you protect your peace, you begin to see how much lighter life feels when you stop allowing negativity to take up residence in your heart. You start noticing the difference between those who genuinely care for you and those who only want something from you. You become more selective with your energy, more intentional with your time, and more protective of your emotional boundaries. Protecting your peace is not about isolating yourself. It is about choosing environments, people, and situations that align with your stability and happiness. It is the commitment to keep your inner world calm even when the outer world becomes loud. Sometimes the most powerful message you can ever deliver is the one delivered through your absence. When you step back from people who took you for granted, they begin to feel the weight of everything you once brought into their lives. They feel the silence where your support used to be, the emptiness where your encouragement once stood, and the stillness where your effort always kept things together. Your presence becomes clearer to them only when it's no longer there holding everything in place. People often assume you'll always stay, always try, always fix things, but when you finally pull away, reality hits them in a way words never could. Letting someone feel your absence is not an act of revenge. It is a natural consequence of their choices. It allows them to fully experience the difference you made, the warmth you carried, and the stability you provided. When you are no longer available to absorb their stress, calm their storms, or carry the emotional load, they begin to understand how much you were doing quietly, without applause or acknowledgement. It is in your silence that they notice the noise they created. It is in your distance that they realize the closeness they lost. Your withdrawal creates a mirror that reflects everything they overlooked. They start replaying the moments when you were patient, the times you gave more than you received, and the countless situations where you stayed loyal even when it wasn't easy. They begin to understand the depth of your presence because they are now faced with the depth of the void you left behind. Distance becomes the teacher you no longer want to be, and as they sit with that emptiness, they finally feel what life is like without your consistency, your kindness, and your unwavering effort.